Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar today. My name is Lauren Seibert. I am in the U.S. for the sales and support team with UNIFORM-Agri. I'm based in Michigan, but I'm helping people around UNIFORM-Agri around the world, mostly focusing on the U.S. and Canada. Today, I'll be going through the Uniform Herd Management Program live with you, and I'll be answering questions along as we go. I'm hosting alone today, so if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. If I don't get to them as we go, I'll grab them all at the end. So let's jump in. First of all, I'd like to start with a little bit of information about UNIFORM-Agri. Our mission statement is to support dairy farmers and their suppliers worldwide with the best and most user-friendly software solution that help build a profitable and sustainable business. So we really are coming to you, a lot of us from our own farms, and with that sort of heart of farming in mind when we're reaching out to you on the support team and throughout the company. UNIFORM-Agri was established in 1986, so we're not new on the block. We've got about 100 employees across 13 different countries, and we've got 10 different national teams that work together. In the US here, we work really closely with a Canadian team, so we call it the North American team here. We've got about 17,000 active users around the world, and we've been a part of the DeLaval company since 2013. We keep sort of an arm's length away from DeLaval, where we're working brand neutral from them, but we are part of that whole group. Our head office is located in the Netherlands, but like I said, we've got country teams all over the place, and I'm located here in the US. I'm in Michigan. We've got another technician here in Michigan as well. That's Sarah Messing. You've probably heard her name around if you've joined any of our other webinars. But most of our back office team, the development, administration, that kind of stuff is all going to be in the Netherlands. The core of our business truly is the herd management software. We do other things too. We make some mating software and milk test management type things. But really what we're focusing on most of the time is the herd management product. We have a uniform app. We like to think that we're pretty quick on the data entry side of things. We've got data safety and your security in mind when we're going through all of our development processes. And we really do focus highly on data validation. It's one of our kind of core pillars, I would say, that we stand on to make sure that the data that you're putting into the program is accurate and that we're helping you every step of the way with that. Another thing that I think Uniform is exceptional with is making analysis easy and putting it into your hands. You don't need a PhD to go through and find some certain analysis in your program. You can really just click a couple of buttons and get there. We also are linking with most brands from any sort of software that's touching your farm. Hoof software, parlors, activity systems. Really, we're trying to put all of your data in one place so you can access one platform and do the majority of your daily work. I already mentioned it to you that we come with a bit of a farmer's mindset to the help desk side of our business. And we really do pride ourselves on that and think that we're going to try and provide you the best service with the most practical approach that we possibly can. Here in the US, you may not be familiar with the UNIFORM-Agri brand name, and that's because we do provide a white label solution to other companies. We manufacture our software programs for other brands that you might see more regularly. One of those is the Bomatic Herd Metrics product. We've got FarmNet 365, the ProDap Smart Milk, Dairy Master Milk Manager Pro, Panazoo, that one's us too, the Incentec from Saturnus, and the SAC Tim product is ours. We've also got a Uniform Goat product out there, a consultant program, and a beef product. And Water Buffalo as well. If you're in Italy, that's primarily where that one is. As far as the linking solutions that we provide, We're looking at all kinds of different sensors: milking robots, parlors, scales, sort gates, feeding stations. I mentioned hoof software. We're really trying to connect the dots between everything that you're touching on the farm. So here are some of the brands that we're affiliated with. There's a ton of them. I think we've got over 200 different software links now out there. So if you don't see a brand name here that you're familiar with or something that you're using on the farm, feel free to ask and I'd be happy to get you some information about that. But really, if it's a common system around the world, we're going to be linking with it. We want to be your partner for all your data solutions. So with that, I think we'll jump in and we'll actually take a look at the software. Here I have for you, this is our main dashboard. This is locally installed on a PC. We do have a cloud version for our consultant program. And in some other markets around the world, the cloud program is launched out to the farms as well. This is your primary screen that you would see when you open up your computer. Across the top, we have a custom toolbar. You can set this up with a right click and add or remove different things that may be more important to you. The next line here is your herd summary. And this is breaking down the herd demographics based on the adult cow population here in the colored boxes. And this is going to be based on their reproductive status. So as I clicked on the blue button, that's the open button for your fresh cows. And this is going to give me the complete list of all the fresh cows in my herd. You can sort these by all of the different column headings, up or down. And you see that this blue dot with the F is carrying the 51 days. So this 384 has been fresh 51 days. And that follows the cow throughout the program to give you a quick kind of snapshot of where that animal is at in her status. The yellow button here is for inseminated. So this is a breeding date. This animal here is 32 days bred, for example. The PD Plus shows you a snapshot of all the pregnant cows. So we've got the green dot with a pregnancy determined positive, and this cow is 220 days pregnant. The red button here on the dashboard is your pregnancy determined negative button. So this helps you really keep an eye on those cows that were diagnosed open at that previous vet check and nothing has happened to them since. So if she gets bred again, she's going to go to the yellow inseminated box. But if she's here still hanging out in that red box and you haven't put her into any other further reproductive actions, she's not going to fall between the cracks because she's right on your dashboard. And that just goes back to her days in milk there. So she's 191 days in milk. Next up, we have your do not breed cows. And these ones are going to carry their days in milk status as well. And the final one here is the dry button. This one is really great, I think, because you've got your orange D for dry, and then 26 here, 26 days dry. And in parentheses, we've got 248 days. So that's 248 days pregnant. The remaining buttons on the top row there are going to be overall herd demographics. The first one is cows, so that's all the adult cows in the herd. The next one is heifers, and if you hover over it, it breaks it down to under a year old or over a year old. We can also toggle this on to show only the heifers in that repro status bar there if you are, only a heifer facility, so you can see what's most important to your business. The last two here would be only if you had animals that fit those tiles. So the first one here is beef, and then there's service bulls. If you didn't have animals in those categories, they wouldn't show up. If you kept your some calves back for beef, you could have a little calves to sell button. So there could be a variety of other things that might show up there. The next section here is truly putting the program to work for you to collect what you need to do on a daily basis. So we have heat attentions. This is basically your watch list. So those cows that are potential first heats or repeats for the breeding, and we break those down into cycling or open cows. You have a preg check button, and when you click into these, it pulls up your list, so you have an action list to reach out with barn. From there, you can directly enter those preg check results if you wanted to do that. So it's really putting all the action to the specific list. From any of these lists, you can also action cow sorting if you have sort gates attached to your software. The next one is your dry off button, and any of these can be set up to your specific interests. If there's just today's dry off list, or if you want to see what's to dry off in the next 30 days, you can customize your parameters for that and do whatever you need there. There's also a second option on your dry off button. So depending on the presentation of the data, you can choose what you like to see more. The calving button works much the same. It's going to be pulling together the relevant details to watch for those calvings. How many days dried off is that cow, and then when's the expected calving date. The last button here, I think, is probably the most powerful on the whole dashboard, because this is really where the program becomes yours. On the tasks button, we can put together your vaccination protocols, sync protocols, treatment protocols, farm level reminders, anything that maybe would be going on in the farm on a daily or weekly basis. And we can trigger those things based on scheduled actions. If you click on the settings gear, you can see that there's two presentations for this as well. The first one is the herdsman action list, and that looks much like those lists that we were just looking at, cow number, name, info. And the second is the action calendar. I'll open up the calendar because I think this one's really neat. In the calendar here, you have all of the actions that are due for this time period. I've got a weekly overview looking at my dashboard here. So if you wanted to click on the calving, you can see all the animals that are due to calve this week. If you wanted to click on, there's one here, a reminder to move calves on Saturday. So you can set farm level events, you can check out different reminders, add some different things here. You could customize this for different people on the farm and really make this calendar useful for you in your management day-to-day. In the center of the screen, we've got some automatic things that'll be happening in the background, so you don't have to worry about making backups and actioning your milking parlor to connect to your management software. We're going to be doing that all for you. And the bottom section is your KPIs, your key performance indicators that you can really customize and set up so that the most important things to you are right front and center when you open the program. This is all really easily customizable. Just click a couple of buttons, set your good and bad targets, and then you've got customized KPIs right on your dashboard. As you're looking at these, if you wonder where something is coming from, you can click on that report. You can click on that button and it'll pull you through to the report. So you can immediately jump in to see where does that exact data point come from. The big number on these buttons is going to be the current period, and the small number is the previous period too. So not only do you get a current overview of what's going on, you get a little bit of a trend of how things have been going and where you're heading. On the left-hand side of your screen, we have a search bar up at the top. This is one of my other favorite features because it's just so easy. You can type a keyword or a cow's name or number and search for anybody in the herd. If you wanted to search for something like milk, you can find any of those different milk reports where that word comes in, including any custom reports that you're going to build for yourself in our report generator. If you found one of these that you really love and you want it to be on your dashboard, you can just right-click and add it to your toolbar anywhere in the program. Following that left-hand column down, the pie chart is going to be bringing you back to this dashboard, your home screen, wherever you are in the program. And then the cow's head is our management menu. So the management menu is really laid out in a graphic presentation to guide you to find those reports that you're looking for. If you're looking for something related to milk management, you can click on that milk management button and you can get milk recording analysis, milk meter yields, milking system monitor, all kinds of different stuff. There may be more or less available based on your specific license and any special add-ons that you have or any links that you have to other software. As I said, you've got links here. If you click on the links button, you've got a short snapshot of some of the things that would be available. You won't see all of our links here because we have two primary methods that we're using to link with other software. So those are going to be contained underneath each button. Each individual link doesn't have its own button. But things like milk test, activity systems, parlors, all that kind of stuff, TMR exports, we have standard links to all of that kind of stuff. Following on the left-hand side below the cow's head, we have the plug icon. I mentioned we have two different linking methods. If you have an integration, which is a live connection to another software, we have several of those out there. Then you would have this plug icon where you can synchronize and receive information. The last one is our app, and that would be the connection that you would make to connect your mobile app to this database. We do have a free demo of our mobile app available on iPhone and on Android. You can go to the App Store or the Play Store and download that right now and just search UNIFORM-Agri. And then you'll see a little blue and green icon with a cow's head. You can download that and just go ahead and play around and explore the database there a little bit. The next thing we can take a look at is an animal record. Let's pick on somebody here. I'll just click on a cow. This will pop open her animal record. We have sort of that hanging file folder approach where you have the animal record and all the different reference tabs that you might want to look at. On the actual tab, you can see some basic cow information, milk separations, current breeding status, if there's any cow sorting, if you had mating recommendations imported, those would be on here. Feeding, all that kind of basic, quick, what do you need to know about her today stuff. And then on the general tab, you have a little bit more in-depth information, breeding, transponders if you've got any links, if you're tracking beta casein, kappa casein, AAA codes, those kind of things would be here as well. If you're linked to a process computer or sensor that has feeding associated, we can check out the feed intake and the feed calculations associated to an animal in her record. We've also got a really cool calendar graph. Depending on the different links that you may have, there would be all kinds of stuff present here. We've got really cool ones, temperature, pH, activity, rumination, line time, all kinds of stuff, depending on what the sensor is. And then you can lay that over top of different things. So if you've got a system that's separate from, milking system separate from your activity system, maybe they're two different brands, you can pull that information together in this cow's graph and lay it all sort of in sync and see what you have going on with an individual. In the lactations tab, we have more detailed information about the complete lactation data available for that animal. This could come from a milk recording, official milk test, or from your milk meters. We can schedule that to be calculated. So all of the actual lactations would be summarized here with a life production at the bottom. In the milk recordings tab, we would see those individual milk recording dates. And on the top corner, if you had milk meters, we could see milk meter data, all the way down to milkings or conductivity with some of the different computers that might be linked to it. We can also analyze this based on different calving dates. So if this cow had multiple lactations, we could go back through and see all of the kind of data for 2 lactations ago if we wanted. Next up is reproduction. We can do that in a similar way. You can expand that to see as much or as little information as you'd like there. And then any fertility event is going to be present on this tab. Any comments that maybe would be added would also show up here. So if you're entering a breeding and you wanted to make a note, then that's going to pull through. If you're entering a preg check and you make a note, that's going to pull through. All that kind of stuff is going to be saved in the individual record as well as in the herd record. The next tab over is health and treatments. On the left-hand side, we have preventative treatments, scheduled protocols, and then below that, we would layer in any disease events like mastitis or pneumonia. And as you click on those, the right-hand side will populate with the details associated to it. One thing that I think is really neat in this is that we can associate an individual cost to a health event, like say your mastitis event cost X dollars, or we can associate a cost per unit on medicine. So, you know, this 1 cc of X ml equals this many dollars. You can play around with that and put in your medicine costs and see how your treatment and health costs stack up over the lifetime of an animal. We also have a body condition tab. If you're linking with a system that has weights, you would see data like this coming through. You can also do like a scale. We connect with weights and scales. So you can pull in that kind of data from sort of a quarterly or annual analysis of the herd, as well as body condition scoring. If you're doing more in-depth wellness tracking, we can also look at mobility, lameness, and some other things like that as well in this section. And the movement tab, we just go through sort of the on-farm and off-farm movements when she came into the herd, when she left the herd. If there were any group moves in between, you would see all of that interaction. And finally, here we have the pedigree. So we have sire and dam from the individual, as well as the dam sire up at the top. And then at the bottom, we have all of her offspring in the herd. So you can quickly see all of the offspring and navigate up and down into the pedigree if you wanted to. We could just click on this animal right here and jump to that record, or we could jump up to the dam and jump over to that record as well. As you can see at the top, when I jump to this next cow's record, this bar around the animal number at the top changed from blue to orange. So I can quickly tell that this cow is in my dry group. So that status color from the front is going to be following that cow all over the program. All right, let's jump over to some milk. In the United States, we have links with all of the records processing centers. We can process all of that milk recording data into the system. There are some different ways that we're doing that depending on where it's coming from, but primarily we have a quick import using the milk test update button. So it's just a quick wizard to pull in the data. And then it would be presented in the milk recording analysis. So depending on what data you're pulling in, you could have a variety of different information populate this report. And you can set up your customized settings for what your attentions would be. Say, what is your max somatic cell count for first lactation? What's going to be your threshold that you want to flag? Or what is your minimum or maximum protein going to be? We can take a look at fat and protein ratios and check out different things like that here really quickly in the report. And it'll color code it so that you can kind of quickly glance through the report and see what's up or down from what you want it to be. This is also available in a graph if you wanted to take a look at some different things like this. This would be your sort of lactation curve for that test day. If you had fat and protein information, you'd be able to see that in here as well. And then if you had urea information, you'd be able to track where it's the optimal or high or low protein ratio is going to be. Some of that analysis that I was talking about earlier that I think really puts the power into your hands can be found super easily throughout the program. For example, fertility. It's one of my favorite things to look at in herd. If you wanted to take a look at your fertility, say let's check out insemination rate, or we wanted to jump over to conception rate, it's very handy to click in and navigate around the screen. We could check out, conception rate by day of the week or by the breeding reason. All these different kinds of things are really easily found. And then if you wanted to dig deeper into some of that information, you can choose to look at an overview of the animals, or you can look at a calving group. So animals calved between a certain set of dates to really analyze a specific change or maybe heat stress. We could get down to analysis by pen or by an analysis type group if you wanted to look at something really specific. And then we could also split it out into periods. So if you wanted to take a look at all the different reasons over time by period, you can see all kinds of different data here. We also like to include an explanation tab in all of our analysis reports, just to give you kind of an idea of how things are getting calculated. So there really aren't, questions as you're going through. Another one that I think is really nice to see is the fertility analysis overview. And this is the one that I pulled up real quickly at the front when we were clicking on those dashboard buttons. But this is a very comprehensive herd overview here. Consultants really love this report to take a look at some key metrics kind of at a quick glance. So you've got total cow population, number of calves born alive and dead, conception rate in your young stock, you've got fertility on the cows, historical calving intervals, and then at the bottom you have a suspicious data button, so you can really kind of see, is this good data, is this bad data? And as you go through this, you can hover over the eye and see what animals actually contributed to that data set. So you don't have to guess who they are, where they came from. You can jump in and directly see who those animals were. This one is also really interesting as far as changing up the properties and looking at it in a different way. You can look at the frequency from a quarterly perspective, an annual perspective. I don't know if you wanted to, but you could really jump into the weekly basis and see how you change from there. All kinds of different selections based on barn group. And really, you can split this up in a ton of ways to analyze the data in more meaningful investigation for you. Another thing that I think is super great in the program is Report Writer. This one is basically your custom report generator. This is where you can take your question that you have in your brain and make the program give you the answer. If there's something specific that you're looking for that doesn't exist in a pre-existing report. Basically, we have a bunch of different categories of items here, and I think there's hundreds of items, to be honest, in this selection. I have never counted them, but there's all kinds of cool stuff. We can get into really interesting analysis and reporting here. All of those items are available as a filter, so anything that you had selected in your report could be used as a filter to make this report even more interesting. You can give it a name, you can overwrite it, make yourself a duplicated list, change up your animal types. You can include historical animals with just a click. And then if it was a list that was used to be sorting and you had a sort gig connected, we can even use one of these lists to do sorting or an action list for a vaccine or something like that. From there, you have some analysis capability with different reporting and layouts and things like that. And you can take a look at this in the report writer screen itself. You can do a print preview really easily to take a look at this sort of printout, send this to a consultant, you could print it, and we can also send it out to Excel really easily with just the click of a button. So if you wanted to do something more, even with that, than this, you can just dump over to Excel and play around. You can have a ton of different reports here, so the sky's kind of the limit. I've never seen anybody max them out. Then we also have a really nice health analysis. I'll pull this up here. This one is going to take a look at any health events that you've used in the program. So could be a lot, could be a little. And then it'll split it up across the periods, and you can see where those instances are across the herd. We could look at it by days in milk, we could look at it by lactation, and it's just kind of a quick glance there. So you can really dig into the health event side of things. If you're wanting to play around a little bit in here, you can change your days in milk periods yourself and how many there are. And you can also really fine tune what health codes you wanted to take a look at. So we can sort these all by different categories or by health events to find a specific instance of something if you're looking for it. There's all kinds of other cool stuff hidden in here, and there's no one webinar that's going to be long enough to cover it all. We really think that Uniform has a great offering of options, and if there's a specific question that you have about how this might be a good fit for you, you can give us a call. We're always happy to chat about that or give you a personal demo. So there's all kinds of different options we can go through individually too, if there's more you wanted to see than this. Let me check the questions real quick. Somebody asked if consultants can view your information easily. That's a good question. Yes, you can. There's a cloud software for our consultants. There's also a locally installed one too, if they wanted to go that route. The cloud one is, I think, more interesting from a consultant perspective. We can upload data from the farm's computer to the consultant's cloud database. You choose which consultants you want to send your data to, and you can cut them off as soon as you want. So if you don't want to share data anymore, you can turn that off. And then the consultant can have a regular report on your data to check on if you wanted to share that with them. Okay, go back over here. To kind of come to a little bit of a conclusion here with our webinar, switching to Uniform is going to be a painless process. We really try to make it easy on you to make the change. There's no startup fees if you sign up for a startup date with us before June 1st of this year. So you don't have to install by then. I know it's planting season and everybody's got hay coming, but if you just make the commitment with us that you wanted to get started sometime this year, we can get that in the books and waive the startup fees. That's at least $450 depending on how many links you have. We also include professional training with our team. So you get one-on-one training. We'll customize your program and help you set up all the things that you'll need. And you don't necessarily have to do it all by yourself. We do have an online learning platform that is available for you. So you can go in and learn things on your own or reference things as you're going through. One of the cool things about our app is that you don't need a constant Wi-Fi connection. So it's a native app. It works on your phone. You push a button, synchronize it with the herd database that's on the computer, and then you can go about your day working in the barn without waiting for it to sync. There's no delay, there's no lag. You enter your data, you keep going. And then whenever you have good signal, you can push the button and synchronize it again. As many different people as you want working in the app and as many languages as you need. If you have 2 users that are in English and 2 users in Spanish, you guys can all work in the same database in your own native languages and share it back and forth. So that's, I think, a really cool thing there. We have a competitive monthly subscription pricing. If you're interested in a quote on that, just let me know and I can help get you some information there. We have very comprehensive data included in our package. I mentioned before that we're doing sort of data point entry, data validation. So if you wanted to calve a cow out 2 times in one day, Uniform's going to tell you, no, you can't do that. She can only calve once today. So we're really working hard to validate the data at the entry point to make sure that when you do that analysis in your program, it's going to be that meaningful data to get you where you need to go. Herd conversion from your previous software is included with our pricing. So that's going to be a comprehensive transfer of data. We have a powerful herd extraction tool that's going to pull out as much information as possible depending on your herd software and pull that into Uniform. And then our technicians work one-on-one with you to make sure that that is meaningful and that everything that you've pulled over is there that you need. We'll do that all with you. And then we validate the data from there to make sure that you're starting from a good place. I mentioned our app. It is included with our pricing, as many users as you want. And that online learning platform is there for you 24/7. All right, now let's take some questions. I do have a few stacked up over here. If anybody else has questions, now would be a great time to send them over. Somebody says, what happens with my cow information when I switch over? So what we do is basically we'll set up a time where we work on your computer. We'll pull out the data from your current software. It does vary how much we can get out based on what you have in there and what software you're working with. But we really work hard to maintain the integrity of your data and pull that all over. So you don't lose information. We'll try our best to keep everything intact. And we do have some really powerful tools to make sure that that does happen. The next question is, what kind of tech support is available? Good question. We have a local team here in the US and Canada that's working 8 to 5 Eastern time. So you've got support here locally. And then that's going to be Monday through Friday. We also have our team around the world that's going to be working 24 hours a day. So we have somebody on the line no matter what, if there is something going on 5 days a week. We do support all of the links that we're integrating with. So if we're pulling data in from a Lately robot or a Bomatic parlor or a GIA activity system, we can pull all that in and we're going to support all of that data getting into the software. So if something's going wrong, we're going to help you get as far as we can. And we do work with the dealers and things like that to make sure that everything's communicating. We also have the Uniform Academy, and you'll be able to log into that and check it out. If you don't have somebody around the clock available to talk in your specific market, we do have that available to reference with questions, frequently asked questions module, webinars. We do web consults. If you wanted to have like a software health check, you can kind of set an appointment with us to go through all that. So we can kind of help you from A to Z. We have somebody ask, what are all the links that you have? That's a big list. I'm not going to go through them all. I don't even know if it's all written somewhere in a list form, but there are over 200 different software links that we make with other programs. So that's going to be everything from TMR software to activity, parlor, robot, hoof software, stick readers. That's another one. We do link with stick readers in our mobile app. Weights systems, all kinds of different stuff. We really try to connect with every different sector of the farm that's going to be communicating with technology. So if you do have a specific one that you're wondering about, just let me know and I can look into that if I don't know it already. All right, do we have any other questions? Okay, we do have one more. Can I use one program for multiple farms? You can potentially. We have different options for that. It depends a little bit on your setup, how that works. But in some cases, it is possible to use one program, one database to connect all your farms together. Other cases, maybe we would set up 2 different programs with a module where we could exchange cows between the farms, but we definitely do have solutions for all of the farms with multiple moving pieces. Dry cows over here, heifers over there, or however you're set up. And that would be definitely a question to ask if we had like a one-on-one chat to see kind of what your specific needs were there and then how we could solve that, but definitely possible. How much does it cost? Is that the question? Yes. Cost is based a little bit on a few different factors. The first one is your location. So depending on what country you're in, the pricing might be different. In the US, we're doing that mostly on a monthly subscription basis. And then it also depends on how many different links you have with other software, what links they might be, because there's a couple of them that charge a little bit more to us to link with them. And then how many cows. So that's going to depend a little bit. Our pricing is primarily based on the adult cow population for that pricing for the cow side. So that's going to depend a little bit where you are on the pricing. If you wanted a direct quote, you can maybe drop your email in the chat and I can follow up with you directly and we could set something up. All right, if you do have any more questions, you think of anything, or you want to set up a one-on-one meeting for a demo or chat a little bit about your herd and how we could be a solution for you, you can reach out to myself, Lauren Siver, or Sarah Messing. We're the 2 main contacts here for the US. Our phone number here is on the screen, as well as our support email address and direct email address for me and for Sarah. So either of us would be happy to work with you to answer any questions you may have, get you a quote, and kind of make sure that you have all the answers that you need to make a decision. So I appreciate everyone for attending here today, and please keep in touch if you have any questions for me. I'd love to talk with you more.